At my sister's wedding, they seated me in the hallway. Then my MIL smirked, as if I didn't belong, so I took my gift and walked out before they could say another word. My name's Alex and I'm 28 years old. If you'd asked me a month ago, I would have told you that my family was at worst mildly dysfunctional, the usual passive-aggressive comments at Thanksgiving, my mom playing favorites with my younger sister Emily, and my dad being blissfully unaware of literally everything. Annoying, sure. Unbearable, not really. But then Emily's wedding happened, and I realized something. My family doesn't just have favorites. They have a main character, and spoiler alert, it's not me. A little background here. Emily is 25, and to say she's been treated like royalty her entire life would be an understatement. I mean, this is the girl who threw a tantrum at 16 because my parents got me a used car, and she wanted a brand new one when she turned 16 too. And guess what? She got it. She's the golden child, the princess, the one who can do no wrong even when she's very, very wrong. Me? I was the older sibling who had to set a good example, which was basically code for, do everything right, but get none of the praise. If I got a B on a test, my mom would shake her head and say, Alex, you're capable of more. Meanwhile, if Emily passed with a C-, it was time to break out the balloons and cake. Anyway, I knew going into Emily's wedding that I wasn't going to be the star of the show. Obviously, it was her wedding and I was happy to just be a supportive sibling, smile for the pictures, and get through the day without any unnecessary drama. But what I didn't expect, what I couldn't have expected, was how far they would go to make sure I knew exactly where I stood in this family. The warning signs were there early on. First, I found out that I wasn't in the wedding party. Fine. Whatever. Not everyone includes their siblings as bridesmaids or groomsmen. Then I found out that Emily's childhood best friend, her coworker, and her fiancé's cousin's girlfriend were in the wedding party. All right, that stung a little, but hey, maybe she just wanted to keep things fresh. Then came the seating chart. Now, I didn't expect to be at the head table. Obviously that's for the couple and their wedding party, but I figured I'd at least be seated with our family, the people I've shared DNA and holidays with my entire life. Nope. When I arrived at the venue and picked up my place card, I noticed something weird. My name wasn't with my parents, my aunts, or my cousins. No, my card wasn't even on the seating chart at all. I had to ask someone where I was supposed to sit. A wedding planner checked the list and then gave me the tightest, most awkward smile I've ever seen. Oh, Alex, I'm right here, she pointed. I looked, and that's when I saw it. My seat was not in the grand ballroom where the chandeliers sparkled and the elegantly decorated tables filled the space. It was outside the ballroom, as in the hallway near the coat rack. At first, I actually laughed. I thought there had to be some mistake like, oh, maybe they ran out of chairs and needed to move some things around. But no, that was my designated seat, a lonely little table near the entrance. Just me, and the faint smell of mothballs from people's winter coats. I turned to the wedding planner, still grinning like a fool, because my brain refused to process what was happening. You're kidding, right? She looked so uncomfortable. I'm really sorry, but this is where you've been assigned. Assigned like a prisoner getting their cell block number. I wasn't even mad yet. I was too busy being confused. Like, was this some kind of prank? Some bizarre wedding tradition I'd never heard of? I needed answers and I knew exactly who to ask. I found Emily near the bridal suite, basking in the glow of being the bride, surrounded by her friends and our mom who was busy fawning over her dress. She saw me coming and gave me the fakest smile in the world. Oh hey, you made it. I held up my place card. Yeah, quick question. Why is my seat not in the reception hall? She blinked, then giggled. Actually giggled. Oh, that? Yeah, we had to move a few things around last minute. Uh-huh. And I just so happened to be the one who got moved to the hallway? Emily shrugged, like it was no big deal. I mean, yeah, we had to prioritize close family at the main tables. I blinked. I am close family. That's when my mom, who had been pretending not to listen, chimed in with a sugary sweet voice. Now Alex, don't make a scene. It's Emily's special day. I'm not making a scene. I'm asking why I'm literally sitting with the coats. And then Emily dropped the line that officially made this the worst wedding I've ever attended. Well, you kind of aren't really immediate family anymore. I stared at her, trying to decipher what that even meant. Excuse me? She shrugged again, adjusting her veil like this conversation was boring her. You moved out years ago. You don't come around that often and, you're not married or anything. It's just different now. I don't even know how to describe the feeling that settled in my chest at that moment. It wasn't just anger. It was something heavier, something colder. I wasn't immediate family anymore because I had the audacity to grow up and live my own life. Because I wasn't married. Before I could say anything, another voice cut in. And that's when I saw her, Emily's mother-in-law. I hadn't interacted with her much before that day. But the second she walked up, I knew exactly what kind of person she was. The type who loved drama, thrived on it, and lived to stir the pot. She glanced at me smirking. "Oh, you're Alex?" I was wondering who that seat belonged to. I forced a tight smile. "Yep, that's me, the sibling who apparently doesn't count." Emily's MIL chuckled and gave me a once-over, her expression full of mocking sympathy. "Well, you know how weddings are. Only the most important people get the best spots." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just Emily's doing. Her new mother-in-law was enjoying this. And suddenly everything made sense. This wasn't some seating mistake. This wasn't bad planning. This was intentional. And the moment I realized that, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to sit through this wedding quietly, and I definitely wasn't going to leave without making a statement. I took a slow, deep breath, my fingers tightening around the place card still in my hand. All right, if this is how they wanted to play it, fine. But they forgot one thing. I grew up with Emily. I knew her secrets. I knew all the little things she said behind people's backs, and, most importantly, I knew that she hated her new mother-in-law. Oh, she'd smiled in her face, acted all sweet. But behind closed doors, it was another story. And right now, I had an audience. I turned to Emily's mother-in-law, plastering on my best fake sympathetic expression. You know, it's funny. Just the other day, Emily was so worried about seating arrangements. Emily, who had been looking at her nails like she was bored, suddenly stiffened. MIL raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" I nodded, keeping my voice casual. "Yeah, she was stressed. Kept saying she really didn't want certain people sitting too close to the head table." I let the words linger, then leaned in slightly, like I was letting her in on a juicy little secret. Something about not wanting her wedding photos ruined by, what was it, Emily? I turned to her, tilting my head. Oh right, by someone's tacky dress sense. A hush fell over the little group. MIL's smirk disappeared in an instant. "Excuse me?" Emily's face drained of color. "Alex, but I wasn't done." "Oh, and remember how you were so worried about speeches? You were really stressed about what certain people would say." I gave MIL a pointed look. "I believe your exact words were, if she gives a speech, I swear to God I'll lose my mind. She's so embarrassing. She'll probably try to make the whole thing about herself." Mill's expression darkened. Emily made a strangled noise, reaching for my arm. "Can I talk to you for a second?" I pulled away, pretending to be confused. "Why? I thought we were having a family conversation." Since I'm not immediate family, I figured I'd at least try to get involved somehow. Mill turned to Emily, her eyes narrowing. "Is that true?" Emily let out a nervous laugh, shaking her head. "No, of course not. Alex is just... Oh, and don't forget the bachelorette party," I gasped, smacking my forehead. Silly me, how could I not mention that? I turned back to MIL. "You know, the one where Emily spent half the night complaining about you? Said she was counting down the days until she didn't have to fake nice anymore. Said she was only tolerating you because she didn't want to start her marriage off with drama." That was it. That was the kill shot. MIL's mouth fell open. My mother, who had been standing awkwardly to the side, looked horrified. My dad, who had been completely clueless up until now, actually took a step back, like he wanted to pretend he wasn't part of this. Emily's friends, the bridesmaids, started whispering amongst themselves, sending each other wide-eyed glances. Emily, meanwhile, looked like she was about to burst into flames. Her lips were moving, but no sound was coming out. And then MIL turned on her. "You ungrateful little brat." I had to bite my tongue to keep from smiling because, oh, this was about to get good. "You think you can just use me?" Mill's voice was sharp, angry. "After everything I've done for you, the money I put into this wedding, the favors I pulled?" She gestured wildly toward the ballroom, her perfectly manicured nails flashing under the chandelier lights. "And this whole time you've been running your mouth behind my back?" Emily stammered. I didn't." Mill turned to my parents. "You knew about this? You raised her to be this kind of snake?" My mother looked like she was going to faint. "Of course not. Emily would never. Oh, don't even try, I cut in, shaking my head. You absolutely knew. You just didn't care. I let out a fake sigh. I mean, you did raise her to think she's the most important person in the world. Kind of makes sense she'd start treating everyone else like garbage, huh? Mom's face twisted with anger. Alex, stop it. Why? I asked, crossing my arms. Because I'm causing a scene? Huh. Funny how that only matters when I'm the one speaking up. Didn't seem to be a problem when Emily literally shoved me out of the reception. By now, people were definitely staring. The whispers had grown louder. Guests were turning their heads, murmuring amongst themselves. Even the groom, who had been missing this whole time, finally wandered over, his brows furrowed. What's going on? Mil rounded on him next. What's going on is that your wife is a backstabbing little brat who's been insulting my family this whole time. The groom blinked. Wait, what? Mill jabbed a finger toward Emily, who looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. She's been running her mouth about me for months, complaining about my dress, my speech, my presence, saying she's only putting up with me until she doesn't have to anymore. The groom turned to Emily slowly. Did you actually say that? Emily shook her head furiously. No, I mean, well, not like that, Mill scoffed. Oh, not like that? Oh, please. And here I was thinking you actually cared about this family. And just like that, it was officially a war zone. Mile and Emily were snapping at each other. My mom was trying to calm everyone down, which wasn't working. My dad looked miserable, like he wanted to walk into the ocean. The groom was still just standing there, looking like someone had just hit him in the face with a frying pan. Meanwhile, I just stood there watching the destruction unfold, sipping my champagne like I was at a Broadway play. And I'll be honest, it was beautiful. But the best part, the absolute cherry on top? I wasn't done yet. Emily's voice was climbing in pitch, her hands shaking as she turned to her new husband. You believe her over me? She shrieked, gesturing wildly in my direction. Her husband, to his credit, was still trying to process everything. His jaw was clenched, his expression shifting between disbelief and embarrassment as guests openly stared at them. I don't even know what to say, Emily, he muttered, rubbing his forehead. I mean, did you say that stuff? Emily scoffed. You know it was taken out of context. I raised an eyebrow. Out of context? Oh, right, that classic excuse. I put on my best mocking voice. Oh no, I was just venting. I made air quotes. Oh no, I didn't mean it that way. My voice flattened. Give it up, Emily. You got caught. And let's be honest, if I didn't say anything, you still wouldn't have cared. Mil, whose fury was only growing, turned to my parents. And you're just okay with this? Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She looked desperate to say something that would salvage the situation. We don't condone. Oh, cut it, I said, waving a hand. You absolutely knew she felt this way, and you still let her pretend to be the perfect daughter-in-law. I clicked my tongue. Guess it's all about keeping up appearances, huh? Emily screamed. You're ruining my wedding, Alex. I looked around dramatically. Oh, I'm ruining it? Sorry, didn't realize I was the one treating family members like dirt and trash-talking the mother of the groom. I turned back to the guests, many of whom were staring with wide eyes. What do you guys think? Who's really to blame here? A few people averted their eyes, not wanting to get involved, but one of the bridesmaids, Emily's own bridesmaid, whispered something to the woman next to her. And that woman, she let out a laugh that only made Emily angrier. You think this is funny? She hissed, whipping toward them. The bridesmaid's lips twitched. I mean, kind of. Oh, this was getting good. Emily's hands curled into fists, but before she could explode again, I decided to wrap things up because, frankly, I was bored. I let out a dramatic sigh, shaking my head. Well, this has been lovely. Really, just a fantastic experience. But I think it's time for me to go. Emily scoffed, throwing up her hands. Fine. Go. I grinned. Oh, don't worry. I will. Then I turned toward the gift table, scanning the pile of expensive-looking presents stacked near the front. And there it was, my gift. The one I had spent weeks picking out. The one that had taken actual effort, thought, and more importantly, money. Emily followed my gaze and her eyes went huge. Alex, no. I strolled over, humming to myself as I plucked the gift from the table. Emily's jaw dropped. Are you seriously taking it back? I gave her a deadpan look. Why would I leave it? Apparently I'm not real family, right? I let out a fake gasp. Oh my god. What if I accidentally contaminated it with my non-immediate family germs? I clutched my chest dramatically. Wouldn't want to taint your precious married life. Emily's face turned a dangerous shade of red. You're such a child. I shrugged, clutching the box under one arm. Maybe, but at least I'm not a fake, lying, two-faced brat who pretends to be sweet while talking bad about people behind their backs. I turned toward Mil, whose fury still hadn't subsided. Hey, Mil. Good luck with this one. I give it a year. Mil actually laughed. Emily screeched. I turned on my heel and made my way toward the exit. The tension behind me so thick you could cut it with a knife. Guests were whispering. The music had stopped completely. The atmosphere had completely shifted from celebratory to full-blown disaster. And honestly, I loved it. As I reached the door, I paused, looking back at the chaotic scene behind me. Emily was still arguing with Mil. My parents looked like they wanted to disappear into the floor. The groom was just standing there like he was reconsidering his entire life. And me? I gave a little wave, a smug smile tugging at my lips. Enjoy your perfect wedding, sis. Then I walked out. I didn't look back. After I walked out of that disaster of a wedding, I didn't need to. I already knew the damage had been done and, honestly, it was more satisfying than I could have imagined. The moment those doors shut behind me, I let out a slow breath and adjusted the weight of the wedding gift under my arm. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I drove home in silence, letting the night settle around me, my mind replaying every detail of what had just happened. My sister's shrieking, my mother's panicked expression, my father's silence, Mil's absolute rage. It was all golden. But I knew the fallout was just beginning. And I was right. The next morning, my phone was flooded. Calls, texts, missed voicemails. It was like my entire family had suddenly remembered I existed. My mother had left 7 voicemails, her voice switching between desperate pleading and absolute fury. Alex, what were you thinking? You've humiliated your sister on the biggest day of her life. Call me back now. Alex, honey, please, we can talk about this. Just come over. Let's work this out. That was the most immature, selfish thing I have ever seen. I hope you're happy. I hope you enjoyed destroying your sister's wedding. Oh, I did, Mom. I really did. But my sister's messages? Even better. It's over between us. How could you do this? You ruined everything. I can't even look at my wedding photos because of you. You took back your gift? Are you serious? What kind of person does that? I hate you. I really hate you. I grinned as I scrolled through them, sipping my coffee. If Emily thought a few angry texts were going to make me feel bad, she didn't know me at all. But what really caught my attention, the text from my dad. Unlike my mother and sister, he wasn't spewing insults or demanding an apology. His texts were short, simple. Call me when you have a moment. I hesitated before dialing his number. Dad wasn't the type to get involved in drama usually. He let my mom and Emily run the show while he stayed in the background. The fact that he was reaching out at all meant something was really going on. He picked up after the second ring. Alex. Dad. A long pause. Then he sighed. Why would you do this? I snorted. Wasn't my fault. They lit the fuse. He let out another sigh and for a moment I thought he was about to scold me. But instead he chuckled low, almost tired. Yeah, they kind of did. That caught me off guard. Wait, you agree with me? I didn't say that, he replied, but his tone was different, quieter. But I saw what happened and I saw how your mother and sister treated you. It wasn't right. I leaned back in my chair. So what? You're the only one not blaming me? Another pause. Not the only one. Turns out the wedding didn't just go back to normal after I left. The damage I had done, it had been irreversible. Mill had completely lost it after I exposed Emily. She had publicly chewed her out in front of everyone, demanding to know if what I said was true. And Emily, being Emily, had panicked, tried to lie, tried to play innocent. But apparently Mill had already suspected something was off about her. My little revelation, it had been the final straw. By the time the reception ended, Mil had all but disowned Emily and the groom, absolutely furious. Apparently he had been under the impression that Emily and his mother had a great relationship. He had no idea that Emily had been trashing her behind her back. Finding out like that in front of everyone? Yeah, not great for a brand new marriage. According to my dad, he and Emily had a huge fight that night. A huge one. As in, maybe we should rethink this whole marriage levels of huge. And my parents? Oh, they were caught in the middle of it. My mom had tried to do damage control, but MIL wasn't having it. She blamed my mother for raising a spoiled brat and had told her point blank that she didn't want Emily anywhere near her family anymore. Complete and total fallout. So, what's the situation now? I asked, genuinely curious. Dad sighed again. Emily is, well, she's not handling it well. I rolled my eyes. Shocker. She's blaming you for everything. She thinks if you hadn't said anything, none of this would have happened. I let out a laugh. Oh, of course she does. God forbid she actually take responsibility for her own actions. Dad was quiet for a moment, then he said, she wants you to apologize. I actually choked on my coffee. Apologize? She thinks it's the only way to fix things, he continued. She thinks if you just take the blame, maybe MIL will forgive her and things can go back to normal. I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, that's not happening. I figured, Dad said, and then, in a lower voice, I don't think you should anyway. That actually made me pause. Wait, seriously. I told you, Alex. I saw what happened, and honestly, maybe it's about time someone called her out. That meant more to me than I wanted to admit. So what now? I asked. Dad sighed again. Your mom is still trying to patch things up with Mill, but I don't think it's going to work. Mill is furious. The groom? He's barely speaking to Emily. And as for Emily, he hesitated. Well, she's a mess. Good. I didn't say it out loud, but I wouldn't lie to myself about how I felt. My sister had spent years making me feel like an afterthought, treating me like I wasn't good enough, like I didn't belong. And now she was facing the consequences of her own actions. It was about time. Anyway, Dad continued, I just thought you should know what's going on. Your mother will probably try to call you again. She can try, I said, shrugging. I'm not answering. Dad let out a short laugh. Can't say I blame you. And that was that. It's been a few weeks since the wedding and, honestly, I haven't spoken to my sister since. She still refuses to take responsibility. Still blames me for everything and still expects me to fix it all. But I won't. I don't regret what I did. If anything, I'm proud of it. As for the marriage, well, let's just say that I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't last. So what do you guys think? Was I too petty? Should I have just played along? Or did my sister get exactly what she deserved? Let me know. I could use a good laugh.